Clients that move to Miami, one of the first things they tell me is like, yo, man, they're really pretty girls here, but like they're so distracted. Like guys will hit them up like you're on a date, like come on my yacht. In Miami, girls get the come on my yacht text and they're gone. There's always a bigger, better
deal. They get like 50 of those texts.
Yeah, they get 50 of those.
Something we encounter on the calls and everything like that is obviously like the idea of like culture and race, and the fact that like we get this a lot, and I'm sure you get it a lot too when you do these like even the free calls, is that like, you know what? I can't learn this stuff where I am. I got to move to Vegas. I got to move to New York. I got to move to London. You know, I have to wait till I move because then I'll start like getting good with women. Then I'll start going there. And it's like, because I don't live in like a top 10 city of the world, I can't have an awesome social life. I can't conquer that place. I can't be the top guy. You know, it's all inclusive. If anything, from my experience, if you don't know any of this stuff and then you move to a higher value place, it gets harder.
Yeah.
There's
more competitive.
There's more money. There's
more bigger,
Drake
better
at
deals.
Excess. There's Tiesto at Zook. There's all of these things working against you. So from your perspective, you know, how do you deal with that? Like when obviously the guy doesn't live in like the biggest city, how do you still help him have success?
In football, they say bring your own blocker. Like Mike Allstott and Christian Okoye, they were like, well, they didn't wait for the hole, they just made a hole. What I try to say is if you live in a city where there is no scene, you make a scene. Because what happens is like if you live in Spokane, Washington, and there is no scene, what happens is there are pretty girls in Spokane, Washington. If you create a scene, you got no competition, bro. I learned this in Wichita. I created a scene in Wichita, and there was no competition. Yeah. None. The funnest place to be was wherever I was every night because people knew I was going to try to get people together. So because there was no scene, I created a scene. Right. I think a lot of times it's an advantage. Now, there can be disadvantages in places where you're shamed for, you know, having any kind of masculine traits whatsoever. San Francisco, Seattle, places like that. That makes it a little bit harder.
Or like a third world country.
Yeah, a third world country might make it a little bit harder. But I'm telling you, any place, if there is no scene, some of the most fun times I had was in Wichita, Kansas, San Antonio, Texas. Some of the most fun times I had were not in like the biggest cities. Yeah. And San Antonio has 1,000,001. I mean, it's pretty big. But that was some of the greatest times I had because I created a scene. If there was no scene, I made a scene. When we have clients that move to Miami, one of the first things they tell me is like, yo, man, they're really pretty girls here, but like they're so distracted. Like guys will hit them up like you're on a date, like come on my yacht. Come on my yacht is not a big thing in Vegas, right? Come on my yacht doesn't happen in Dallas. In Miami, girls get the come on my yacht text and they're gone. There's always a bigger, better deal.
They get like 50 of those texts.
Yeah, they get 50 of those. But come on my yacht is the bigger, better deal thing is a big thing in Miami, probably in New York too, right? In Los Angeles. But if you're in a city that doesn't have a big scene, you create a scene, and now there is no BBD. You never have to worry about a bigger, better deal. You're always the bigger, better deal.
Right. And also, you know, with MOA specifically and what we do in this program, we're not the men of theory. We're not the men of culture. We're not any of that. Everything we focus is on what? Evolutionary psychology, sociology, human nature, intersexual dynamics. Yeah. That's universal. It doesn't matter if you're in Wichita or if you're in Miami. Yeah. The principles stay the same. So if you understand the principles, that works everywhere.
Yeah, of course, because society existed before there was internet and before there were these megalopolis, huge cities. Society existed, human intersexual dynamics existed for at least the last 200,000 years. Mm-hmm. So if we understand that concept, then of course it's going to work in a big town, it's going to work in a small city.
And what a good practicing ground. Like if you do it in a small city and you figure it out, you can bring those skill sets to a big city and then start to implement.
Shout out to Warner Robins, Georgia. Yeah. Shout out to Warner Robins, Georgia.
You know where you can take everywhere? Social media. And what's the first thing we focus on? Social media.
Step number one, fix your Instagram. Yeah, that's the thing. Like you can take, just like a good team takes defense with it on the road in basketball, you can take your social media with you on the road. Like a really attractive woman, she takes her physical attractiveness with on the road. If she's fine, if she's super fine in Dallas, she's super fine in Miami, she's super fine in Los Angeles. She doesn't have to reestablish her hotness. Yeah. It just travels with her like luggage.
Yeah, because we even have a group chat in MOA. We call them like the nomads, where they're the guys who are opposite. They don't have a home. They are a high-tech closer. They have an online business. They don't have a home.
And every
they're
time
traveling.
Yeah, every time they show up in a new place, every time they show up in Tulum and go to Taboo or whatever Voodoo, I forgot Taboo, whatever the restaurant is. Whenever they show up there, the girls don't know if they're a fucking baller, and they don't know if these guys are funny, and they don't know if these guys are good in bed. They don't know anything about them. They have to reestablish their dominance and status every time they go around. Except if they put it on social media, then they don't have to. Then it travels with them like luggage. That's why fixing your social media is so important, especially if you travel or if you live in a place that's not super popular.
Yeah, that's a huge excuse that we get is guys like, oh, I can't do this. I'm going to be traveling. I'm like, dude.
I'm like, that's incredible.
You know how much activity my social media gets when I'm going to the white party in Miami or I'm
not only that.
Puerto Vallarta?
Do you know how much more likely a girl is to say yes when she knows you're going to leave tomorrow? It's her last shot, bro.
yeah, exactly.
This is her last shot, bro.
Exactly.
You've got built-in scarcity because you're traveling, bro. God, you're so lucky.
This is my last night.
Man, I just can't. Man, I'm 46, bro, and like I know there's people who's watching this right now is probably somewhere between 20 and 30, and like, oh my God, you're so lucky that you get exposed to this at that age. I wish my whole program was built so that I could teach you these things. You skip 25 years of heartache and like screwing up and trial and error, and it's just like I'm trying. This is the course that I wish someone had given me in 1999. Yeah. This is what I wish somebody would have taught me.
Because you always said when we talked that, like, hey, if I ever was going to start something, you were always knew it was going to be called Men of Action. Where'd that come from?
I was doing a call for a different company, and it was like a free call, Zoom call, whatever. And we were talking, and I remember I was on my phone, and somebody else was the host, and then I took over for a little while. And while I was talking, I just remember them bringing up these theories about energy and woo-woo shit. All these theories about what if I did this, and I just remember there was this one guy, we call him in MOA, we call him Doug. Doug is the guy who takes a bunch of self-help courses and never improves his life.
Yeah.
And there were just more and more Dougs out there.
Yeah.
Doug could quote every single thing that Ty Lopez ever said. Doug had read every self-help book there was. Doug had taken $100,000 masterminds. Doug hadn't started one fucking LLC, had never started one business. Doug,
I talked to a lot of Dougs too, and they feel like, they've been in, it's actually the opposite. They've been in so many programs. Like, what the fuck's Michael different, right?
Yeah.
Like, how am I not going to do this?
I just saw so many Dougs.
Yeah.
And every one of them made me more and more depressed. I was like, man, bro, like you put so much, like, I'm actually kind of jealous of the education you've been able to afford in order to do this, but they couldn't afford it. They ran up their credit card bills and didn't do shit. Didn't even start one LLC, bro.
Yeah.
Not one.
How do you prevent creating a Doug?
Well, the thing is, you prevent creating a Doug by taking action. So the reason why I was calling the course, it was the same call. And I remember saying, if we ever make a course, I'm going to call it Men of Action, because I'm sick of theory. And I'm sick of dudes going to Tony Robbins seminars, standing up at the end, crying, hugging their buddy, and going back to their mom's basement and not changing shit.
Yeah.
It's just action, bro. It's just brutal, cold action. Yeah. And if you didn't take it, then you should feel like a failure.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
But these people are selling a feeling. Bro, when I hear people like selling mindset, I'm not trying to knock anybody out.
We're jealous of you, actually.
We're jealous of people who sell mindset. Bro, do you know what the fucking cost of goods sold on mindset is? Zero. It is zero. Do you know what the markup on mindset is? 100%. The markup, I'm selling you a mindset. It costs me nothing, bro. What an incredible. And by the way, in order for me to make my money and for me to close the sale, what do you have to accomplish? Nothing. You just have to feel better about yourself. What a grift, bro. Right. I'm saying grift. I don't mean to insult you, because I know some people are mindset coaches, and I'm not trying to knock what you do. I'm just saying I'm jealous as shit. You guys get to sell something that costs you nothing to do, and there's no discernible metric that the client has to have in order for you to know that you had success. Bro, I would love to be a mindset coach. I'm not a mindset coach. I'm an action coach. I'm a performance coach.
Right.
Because I have learned through trial and error that the world is not fair. There are certainly, I had 2 female squadron commanders, and I had one woman who taught me how to trade stock options. Those women lived with a burden of performance. A lot of women do. Women who work in construction, women who are fighter pilots, they have a burden of performance. A lot of women don't.
Yeah.
All men do. All men have a burden of performance.
Right.
And so that was the thing that I learned. So for me, it wasn't like feel good didn't pay the bills. Right?
Yeah.
Feel good didn't pay the bills. Aaron Clare, what does he talk about? The perfect emotional state. You have these women who are really pretty. Dudes will take care of them, financially, and they just spend their entire life, drinking pumpkin spice lattes and going to facial spa days with the girls because they want to stay in the perfect emotional state. That's because, number one, someone is coming to save them, and number two, what was the thing we were just talking about? I just lost my train of thought. Someone is coming to save them, and number two, they don't have a burden of performance.
Right.
Yeah. And so all men have a burden of performance. That's the thing you have to understand. You're not special. The only guys who don't have a burden of performance, or what a burden of performance doesn't look like, is he who's elderly, retired, or a guy who's morbidly overweight, or lives in his mom's basement, or lives off Social Security. Those people don't have a burden of performance.
Right.
But it goes very poorly for men when that happens. Yeah. Very, very poorly. And so that's the thing. Like, men have to understand, like, if you don't ever want to run a 7-figure business and you don't want to have sex for the next 7 years, it's real easy to do it. It's real
Beta
easy.
males get to eat.
Huh?
Beta males get to eat.
Yeah, bro, that was another thing. Again, shout out to Owen Cook because he said this a long time ago, and I remember this. He goes, if you're a beta male, think about like a wolf. If you're a beta male, you still get to eat. You still get to like have sex with girls sometimes. Being a beta male is not so bad. It's like warm, it's like nice, and it's kind of comfortable. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to like be aspirational. And when I hear that, all I'm thinking, the first thing I'm thinking is like, go get your testosterone checked, dude. Like, what do you mean? Like, what a fucking existence.
Because I'm of a certain ethnicity or certain skin color, I'm at a disadvantage. And also the culture that purports you to do certain things well makes you unattractive. Like, for example, we have a very diverse program. We've noticed that it's like clients of like German descent, South Asian descent, and East Asian descent that have trouble giving themselves permission, that are overanalyzing, that are not like letting themselves be successful in this area of your life.
Yeah.
What do you take on that?
Yeah, it's some of my clients who live in Switzerland, Germany, Austria, places like that. And then my clients several of my clients who are from India or of an Indian descent, and my clients from East Asia.
Yeah.
They have this thing where there was a structured sort of homogenous society that they grew up in, and you don't paint outside the lines. And because of that, it was always like, Mommy, Daddy, I want to play. Shut the fuck up. Sit in the corner. Sit in the corner. Shut up. There was nothing but that their whole life.
Yeah.
Punishment. Whenever any form of creativity or stepping outside the bounds, then they get older, and then you want them to go talk to a woman, and they don't know what they're doing. They can't give themselves permission. They're waiting for mommy to give themselves permission.
And when you become the doctor, the lawyer,
whatever
it is, then the women will come.
Yeah,
That's
exactly. My son is he's going to be a doctor and get a good, pretty wife because he's a doctor, because she still lives in that mindset too. The type of woman you get will be commensurate to the amount of money that you make. Your mom is living in a blue pill reality. She still thinks that's the case. Right? That's what's so crazy about it. But no, the thing is like giving yourself permission. What happens is you learn a tremendous amount of discipline in how to be a good academician, a good student. And in doing so, a lot of those people that I talked about that come from repressed backgrounds become incredible businessmen, incredible programmers, incredible scientists. They do. But when it comes to this other part of their life, they've been taught they need permission to express themselves. And a lot of times I'm the one who has to give them that permission.
Yeah.
I'm a lot like, I don't have this problem with my Central and South American clients. I don't. And I don't have this problem with my clients who grew up in poverty in North America. They tend to not have this issue. They tend to give themselves permission. It tends to be my clients, like I said, from Eastern Europe, mostly like or Germany, and then my clients from not the Romanian guys. Those guys give themselves permission. Those they give themselves permission. Yeah. Like I don't have any Italian clients that are repressed. Like they give themselves permission.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. It just depends. I don't have any Mexican clients that have problems giving themselves permission. None of my African American clients have problems giving themselves permission. Yeah. But it is a certain demographic, and I think it's cultural. I just think it's a cultural thing. 100%. When you come from a highly homogenous society, everybody needs to conform and fit. And if you don't, then you're ostracized.
And then therefore, that would mean it's their behavior, not necessarily their skin color or
absolutely
thing is.
Absolutely, yeah. And my other thing is like play to type. Like if I remember it was Dataclysm. I think it was talking about like the disadvantages that people have. So African American women and Asian men had it the worst on dating apps. Yeah. Like they got the fewest right swipes. And one of the things that you would look in these Asian men's bios is it would say like not really Asian, or like they would express how tall they were, taller than the average age. Like they would say things like that in the bio. The men would. It was crazy. They would put stuff like that in there. So my thing is like, why play to type? Like if I'm going to be the Indian dude who's out there trying to meet women, should I be meek and just like hyper intellectual and fucking asking for permission and have no upper body strength?
Going to Harvard?
Yeah, or could I be fucking yoked and loud and give myself permission? What if I listen to fucking gangster rap and I can bench press 300? Yeah. What if I could why do I have to play to type? I have some friends of mine, some of my clients who are African American.
Breaking rapport anyway.
Yeah, well, I have some clients that were African American, and these guys just normally had just an angry look on their face. I was like, bro, racism is terrible. It's horrible. People have these racist beliefs about you, but like, why are we playing into it? Like, don't be the fun, happy dude. Like that's what I would say.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I just don't believe in playing to type. Regardless of what we want to say about like the egalitarian nature of the world, people react to different types of people different. So why play to type? That's my only thing.
100%.
Why play to type?
100%.